Right, hello there, it's Devoid here, and I thought I'd make this video about something different to my usual Red Alert videos, and it's going to be a review and a demonstration of what the Dalek Parliament sets, what the models look like in this Parliament set. And there's the box cover that we can see now, and I'm going to start with this little Dalek here, and it's Gold Dalek from Day of the Daleks, which is the third Doctor. Now this one, it's a smart one. This I like this one. I had this video when I was younger. I had this story on video, so it was shown. I didn't see it in episodes. I saw it on video, but this model is nearly always produced incorrectly. It's the thing that's wrong with it is that, excuse me, sorry about the focus, is that the neck vents they're always black on the models, and they're not supposed to be. They're supposed to be gold like this. So I know that the new 5-inch figures, they make this and it is correct, but all the other versions that I've ever heard of, the neck vents are black, and that's wrong. And in this Dalek Parliament set, it's also black. It's wrong. I painted this myself to make it look accurate. But the gold vents in the story, in the episode, it is a slightly different gold to the Dalek itself. So it doesn't matter if it completely matches, and I'm quite happy with this. It's just I realised today that was black and it's not supposed to be. So I've painted it to correct it myself, and I'm quite happy with that. That's the Day of the Daleks Gold Dalek. And in that story, they only had 2 grey Daleks and this for the entire story, so you'll never see more than 2 grey Daleks and this one at once. And there's supposed to be an invasion, but all you're going to see are 2 grey Daleks and that one, sadly. But now I'll go to the rest of the Daleks and quickly produce one, so we're not looking at nothing. And this next Dalek, I love this one. It is the Necros Dalek from Revelation of the Daleks, and that's the 6th Doctor. And this Dalek, I really like this one. It's really nice. And when they made this, they were told not that they didn't have to stick exactly to previous Dalek designs. They could go their own way and do their own thing. And when you look at this Dalek, it looks excellent from the front. I just love the shape of it and everything. And also, the angle at the front is much steeper than the usual Dalek. And I also like that. It's really cool. And these are very similar. This is Necros Dalek, and it's very similar to the Imperial Dalek from Remembrance. But the Imperials have a gold plunger, which is a gold metal cone at the end instead of the toilet plunger sucker cup. The Imperials have a gold cone with the 2 notches in it, so that the renegades can't use their ships and their equipment. There's 2 notches in the Imperial Daleks' gold cone, so it prevents the renegades from using their equipment. But they also have a different, I think it's a gold eye stalk, and the Imperials have different, more modern looking ear lights. And the step on the bottom of the Imperials, it's like this that it goes in, but I think it's a slightly different one, and it's all white on the Imperial Daleks. Plus, this isn't a round ellipse shape, it's a hexagon on the Imperials. But I do really like this Necros Dalek. I love the shape of it, but I can't wait to get the Imperial as well, because I'll like it even more than this. I just love the shape and angles of this Necros Dalek. It's brilliant. So that's the second one we're looking at. And the third Dalek is the Genesis Dalek. And this was the favourite out of this pack when I first opened it. I decided this Genesis Dalek from Genesis of the Daleks, the 4th Doctor, was my favourite when I opened the set. I really like this one, and this is your most common seen Dalek, the grey, standard grey design of the Dalek. This is the most common one, and in the story Genesis of the Daleks, these are the first Daleks built. Now, they're not the first Daleks you see, but it's the first Dalek in the story. These were the first ones created. and it's a lovely, lovely model, easily identifiable because it's all a solid grey. The slats down the sides, there's no white mesh like the Renegades have, none of that. And it's got the old angles, and it's your classic Dalek. I like this one. So I really like the Genesis Daleks. One of the nicest in this set, I think. I like that one. It's really cool. So there you go. There's the Genesis. Now let's have a look. What's the next one? It's this really strange not Scaro. He's from Spyridon. He's the Supreme. It's called the Supreme Dalek from Planet of the Daleks, which is the third Doctor. But this is a unique Dalek, this one. And it was on the planet Spyridon, leading the other Daleks, and this one exterminated another Dalek for failure because it was a crazy, nasty Dalek. But the unique thing about this is they had a torch as the eye stalk on this Dalek. So there you can see they've clearly represented that torch they used, so that when it spoke, not only did the ear lights flash when it spoke, but the eye stalk also flashed when it spoke to make it look different and unique. So they used a torch, quite literally, and it extended the eye stalk, and you see quite clearly in the episode that this is a torch. But, you know, they worked with what they had, and it's a lovely Dalek, but it doesn't have the bars down the neck section, so it has a unique look, you know, as well as the torch section, and it's got a big bumper skirt like some of the film Daleks had. This is fairly rare, but it's got one of those, this one, and it's on the Dalek Planet of the Daleks is the episode. So yeah, this is a really unique Dalek, this one. It's a nice one. I do like it. It's very different. So there's another Supreme. Right, let's have a look. We're getting to about halfway. And now this Dalek is the first. This is the first kind of Dalek. And on the box it just says Dalek from the Daleks, the first Doctor. And now the first time we see Daleks, they're all the same. There is no leader. There's no Supreme or Commander. Although the name Supreme, as far as I know, the Supreme was given to the Dalek Red Supreme on the Crucible. And it wasn't really a rank officially before that. As far as I know, I could be wrong. Correct me in comments if I'm wrong. But the rank Supreme is basically a recent thing that they've tacked on to, you know, add a little bit of variety to the ranks and stuff. Whereas, as far as I know, the Renegade Supreme Dalek was never called a Supreme, for example. You know, although technically the Renegades were in remembrance, the Renegades were the true Daleks because Davros had overthrown them after Necros and all that. When they took Davros back to Skaro, the Grey Ones collected him, and they were the ones overthrown, and Davros made the White Ones, so the Renegades were the true Daleks. So technically that was a Supreme and one of the last, like, kind of pure original Dalek leaders, but they weren't called Supreme as far as I know back then. They just are now. But this is an original standard Dalek drone in the Daleks episode, and there were no different Daleks. There were no leaders that stood out. There may have been one that barked orders more than the others, I'm not sure. But because they were on a set with a smooth metal floor, and that was in the storyline as well as in real life props wise, so they didn't need a big skirt or anything or any way of traversing rough ground. They could just glide over a smooth floor. So that's why it's got this flat skirt section at the bottom. You know, they didn't need any extra cover or any large protection for the props like they did later. You know, when the Daleks had to move more or move over rubble, that's when they had these big skirts and things like that. So, you know, they didn't have those issues originally in any respect, you know, real life or in storyline terms. So that's an original drone Dalek. It's a cool little one to have. Looks cool. Right, the next Dalek. This is the Black Dalek, and it is the first leader. This is called the Black Dalek from the Daleks' invasion of Earth with the first Doctor, and it is the first leader Dalek. And it's called the Black Dalek, and these Daleks are identifiable from Invasion Earth because they have the dishes on the back for power generation. I'm not sure if it talks about the power source in the storyline in the episodes or whatever it mentions about them. But although I think somewhere along the storyline, somewhere it's mentioned that it's a form of power source because they no longer get their power through the floor like they did in Skaro City. So they use these dishes at the back because they all have it, the drones and this leader, but it's an excellent Dalek. But a special feature about this Dalek is that in real life, some of the Daleks were given to children's charity, Dr. Bernardo's charity, for tours and for kids and to visit schools or whatever, public appearances and things. And a couple of them came back after 6 months of being away from the BBC, quite worse for wear. And some obvious damage to one of these Daleks was a repair job to the neck rings. And one of these damaged Daleks was chosen to be the leader, the Black Dalek leader. And they've actually represented the damage that was done in real life, the repair job that you can see in the episode. It's a repair job from its time away from the BBC. And they've actually shown that on this model, that little bit there below the neck ring, that is an accurate representation of the repair job done to the thing in real life. So that's a very nice little touch to actually put that on. I was wondering about that, and the magazine that comes with it includes lots of little details and facts, and you can see it in the story. If you watch it, you can see this little slip of metal there, and it's a repair job from its 6 months away from the BBC. So to see that, it's a very nice little touch. And these little metallic resin Daleks, it's very nice. They're quite weighty and quality, and they're hand-painted, so they're not perfect, but it's very nice. Like this little silver bit behind the eye stalk, that isn't a mistake. That's actually supposed to be there. If you see it in the episode, that silver is there. So if you wanted to touch up these Daleks, you could think that was a mistake, and it is not. It's meant to be there. That little silver bit you can hardly see, it's actually there on the real Dalek in the episode. So the level of detail to reproduce these mistakes and things is impressive. Very impressive, that is. I like that. So there's the first leader. That's the first Black Dalek. And we're 2/3 of the way, and here we have Dalek from Dalek with the 9th Doctor, and this is the first Dalek of the new Doctor Who series. And when I first looked at this one out of the pack, I thought, I like it, it looks cool. And I see they've actually made the angle at the front steeper. Not only is it steeper than the Necros Daleks, not as steep as the Necros Daleks, it's actually not as steep as the standard Daleks. It actually goes at a further angle forward. So they've increased that, they've decreased that angle there just to change the look, and they've given it bolts and rivets and things to make it look more tank-like. But I actually do like this Dalek, and I like the base because it actually, from the point of the Dalek prop, it's probably safe to be outside bumping into things, and it'll, hide the way it's moving around and things for the real prop ones, but it actually looks secure in a storyline wise. Like if you hit say you've got these Daleks and you ram that one with a tank, or you shot it with an RPG, it's probably going to topple over a bit. Whereas this one is got a lot wider base diameter, so it's going to be harder to knock over in sense of the lore and the storylines, as well as actually probably be practical props wise. So I do like the features of this Dalek. I've got to like it quite a lot, this one, and it's the first of the new Daleks. So sorry about the moments when it's out of focus, but yeah, these they are nice quality. They look very good, and he's got the number plate under his eye stalk that the new ones have. He's got that, and I do. I've got more and more fond of this Dalek over the days I've owned this set. It's quite a nice one. I like it. So that's Dalek, the first of the new ones. And let's see, we're on the last 3 now. And one of them here we are. We're on to the Paradigm. And this is the new Paradigm Dalek from Victory of the Daleks. And now we're on to, this one is Supreme Dalek. And it says Remembrance of the Daleks, 7th Doctor. And that is incorrect, because the Remembrance of the Daleks had the black renegade leader with silver spheres. It was black and silver. And the Imperial Supreme Leader was Davros, and it was also white and gold and Davros. So Supreme is actually from Resurrection, I believe. It's the one where Davros releases the plague to kill the Daleks that come looking for him. But it's just the wrong box. It's the wrong Doctor and the wrong box. But if I probably got the other set, I'd be able to swap them, because I assume in the other set the Renegade Supreme has this guy's box. I'm guessing that's the case. So if anyone knows that has the other set, have a look and see if it says Revelation or Resurrection of the Daleks on, instead of, it should say Remembrance on the black and silver Dalek. So just see what it says if anyone ends up seeing this that has access to them. But this Dalek is a very odd, unique Dalek in the shape, and it was actually made, and the first time this was seen, it was, look at the shape of that, very different at the back. And the first time this was seen, it was used in photo shoot with the Doctor and his companions and that, and for some reason they decided to use it as the next leader Dalek in this episode, which I believe is Resurrection or something. It's the one where they unfreeze Davros at the start, and there's Dalek troopers, mercenaries working for the Daleks and that. And this is the Supreme. You see him on a monitor most of the time, but you do see it moving around, but it's a really odd shape, and it was just built wrong. And also, when they built the top bit, it didn't fit, which led to the gap between the collar and the neck rings. There's a gap there, and Daleks built after it had this mistake copied. So maybe say something like this might be an example. And it may not be exactly this. These were different Daleks built in a different way, but they do have the neck gap, same as him. And some other Daleks did have this neck gap after it, but they shouldn't have had. That it was a mistake, and they ended up copying this mistake, and this shape that he had, was unique. So he ended up having an influence on other Daleks in that neck ring mistake. Plus, he appeared as a Supreme itself. It's a very strange Dalek, and what this little bit on top is, I don't know. It's very strange Dalek. It's okay, and it looks fine from other angles, but I'm not keen on the shape of the back. It's it's the odd Dalek that and there's not much to it. The color scheme and that, it's quite simple. I'd love the Renegade Supreme. That's my favorite Dalek. And the Renegade Daleks with it, they're my favourite. And the last one to show you is from Remembrance, and it's the Special Weapons Dalek from Remembrance of the Daleks with the 7th Doctor. And this is the Special Weapons Dalek, and it's actually, to be fair, it's probably one of the best examples of a Special Weapons Dalek I've seen in these Eaglemoss figures, and in the 5-inch size figures. I've seen these looking terrible, absolutely terrible. Some of the weathering and the way they've done detailing between the spheres is absolutely shocking. It's really, really bad job. And I could paint these better myself because I'm a model maker. And the people painting these have probably got to paint dozens over and over, and they get sick of it. But it leads to things like you see here. This is like a separate section, this gold, but it's just done by hand like that roughly, and it's not perfect, but it's fine. I don't mind that. And part of a lot of model collecting is the fixing the mistakes. That is part of collecting some kits. Now, not so much with these ornamental kind of models. You're not supposed to change them. You're supposed to leave them as is. Like, look, they're display pieces. Like, but you could change them if you wanted to. But they are good enough, if you ask me. This is, like I say, I've seen larger special weapons Dalek models, and they look terrible compared to this. So I'm quite happy with this one. I quite like it. So there's that one. That's my first proper remembrance of the Dalek. So it's the special weapons. So when I get the other set, I'll get the remembrance of the Daleks renegade leader, and I will also get the Imperial Dalek, but the machine gun Dalek will be nice. The silver one with a gun. That's very nice. And here's the magazine for now. And there's some very interesting bits in this mag, some very, very interesting things telling you about some of the individual Daleks, and like Day of the Daleks, how they had no more than two grey Daleks to actually do the invasion with. They had two grey Daleks and one leader, which is that gold one, so there's very little they had to work with, but they did their best with what they had, and I certainly didn't notice any of that. But that's a duller, darker grey, this neck mesh, and it shouldn't be black like it is on all models, and it looks black in some images, but it's not. It's a darker grey, it's a darker gold. So most of the models, they are incorrect, You could forgive them for thinking it's black, but it's not. It's actually a dark gold. So, that's incorrect in most kits and most models. You could forgive them for that because it looks black in that. And they often go by source material that's not the best. But, it's still, you want it to be right. But there's the story about the Black Dalek and that there. But there you go. There's the review of the Dalek Parliament set that you get here. And all the Daleks and that with it. There you go. So I hope you enjoyed looking at the sets and got an idea of the quality. I think they're really nice. And even with the slight errors and bits and pieces that are not quite right, they are very nice little display pieces. I really like them. And I'm definitely going to get the other set because it's got the Red Supreme in it. It's got the Renegade Supreme. That's my favourite Dalek ever. It's got, I believe it's got an Imperial, and it's got a machine gun Dalek, what they call a machine gun, although it's only a semi-automatic gun, not a machine gun. And they've got all that, so I'll love to get them. And I'm also hopefully going to pick up some of the larger 5-inch History of the Dalek sets, but I couldn't find them in anywhere near where I could get, so I may have to look online. But for now, thank you very much for those who viewed it. I hope you enjoyed looking at the Dalek set. I think it's really great. And until next time, thank you very much.